Hello, everyone. I'm Dan.
And I'm Riley.
And welcome to the next episode of That One Podcast.
This week, we are joined by Colin Quin, who is the new athletic director for Tipton High School. And we talk everything about the fall sports season, how it's been going, and just his vision for Tipton Athletics as he steps into this new role. So it's a great conversation. It gives you a chance to get to know a little more about him on the personal side of things and what he has done in the past. So great conversation with Colin.
All right, let's get into the next episode.
Colin, welcome to That One Podcast. Happy to have you on and talk all thing Tipton sports.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate being here.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, you took over as athletic director officially July 1st, right? But this is your first year. So tell us a little about yourself, where you came from, and how you got into sports administration.
Yeah, so originally born and raised in Michigan, Southfield, and then moved down to Peru, Indiana, when my dad got a job there working at the hospital, and then essentially went through the school system, 7 through 12 at Peru Community Schools. After high school, went off and played soccer in college out in South Dakota, came back, finished at Purdue. While I was at Purdue, took my student teaching at St. Lawrence, St. Mary's. Immediately following graduation, worked with Tim Bourdonnais over at Lafayette Central Catholic as the assistant AD underneath him, and just learned a bunch. And then essentially came back to Peru, taught for 3 years, and then moved into that AD role for the next 4. And this is my first at Tipton. But to backtrack a little bit, while in high school, we had what we called an internship program, and I took my internship program with our athletic director, who is the current athletic director at Logansport High School, Brian Strong, and he was just a phenomenal mentor. He's a great AD. He sits on the board of directors for the IHSAA. He was my mentor as I got into the IHSAA myself. You have to have a mentor assigned, and Brian stepped up and was that for me. And so he's just been instrumental in the reason I am where I'm at. So
yeah, that's awesome. Speaking of Lafayette Central, is it Central Catholic?
Yep.
Yeah, they're now in Tipton's conference, correct?
That is correct.
That's
yes.
new to this year.
Yes.
Talk about this is completely random, but like how does that conference realignment and work? Obviously, we hear about it in like big college sports, but it's something new to Tipton this year. And do you have any insight into why that happened or anything like that?
Yeah, so, I mean, coming from the Three Rivers Conference where Peru is and learning all that, we kind of stole those two schools, whether it was Northwestern or Lewis Cass. They kind of left that conference to join the TRC, and now we're realigning the Hoosier Conference. You got Logansport coming in, Lafayette Central Catholic, Tipton, Rensselaer, Benton Central. This might be inside knowledge, but I think everybody's pretty much aware. Rensselaer is leaving the conference starting next year. So that alignment as it is now might change a little bit in terms of where people are, but I think East and West is probably going to stay the same, just without Rensselaer in there.
Yeah.
So some things are changing, but it's been interesting for sure, especially learning the bylaws, learning how we do awards and things like that. The conference is definitely a new beast for me.
Yeah, is the conference and bringing in new teams or new schools, is it more about like proximity and travel time, or is it more about size of schools whenever we're looking at adding new schools or schools leaving?
Yeah, so in my experience, it's been kind of who will fill the role, who wants in, who doesn't want in, and then I think for me personally, you would look at proximity first and foremost, especially now with the state that we're in as far as bus drivers go.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a school in the entire state of Indiana that's not hurting for bus drivers.
Yeah.
And they are essential in getting us to and from, and that's to school and to and from athletic events as well. So we appreciate all of them. If you are listening, thank you.
Yeah.
And after that, size of school. But our current conference, our size of school, besides Lafayette Central Catholic, we are the smallest because you got Logansport sitting there with 1,400 kids, and then BC and everybody else. So Twin Lakes is another big one, but we're holding our own. So competitive-wise, we're doing a good job.
Nice. So let's shift and talk more about Tipton and, when you first heard about the opening for the AD at Tipton, what drew you to wanting to come to Tipton?
Yeah, so I've heard nothing but great things about Tipton. Being at Peru, our football scrimmage has been with Tipton for I don't know how many years, 20, 25. Yeah. So we've been down here a lot. Always liked the town. Every time we come down, we try to go to a new place. So we went to the Shack when we came down a couple years ago, and just the small town community environment is just awesome. Peru's a small town as well, but Tipton's got them beat, the small town market. Yeah. But the biggest instrumental point for me for why Tipton was appealing was a big mentor in my life has been Coach Hobbs, Andy Hobbs, and his wife, Lisa Cardwell, now Hobbs, both from Tipton, both Tipton grads. So I knew a lot about the Tipton community just from those two speaking on their behalf. And I just knew it would be an awesome place, and it fits the lifestyle that we live as the small town community. So that was probably what made it the most appealing at first. And then just showing up and looking and living, it's just been a dream come true. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you've had a few months to settle in now. You're almost through the first full season. Fall sports are starting to wrap up soon. What's been your first impression of Tipton High School, the community support, and just how it's gone the first couple of months?
Yeah. So to speak on the community support, it's absolutely phenomenal. Tipton is unique in the way that they run their booster clubs, as every team has their own. So learning that side of things has been interesting. But for the amount of booster clubs that we have, because every team has their own, nobody is short on support, which is just says a ton about the community.
Yeah.
So it's been really good learning just this and that and who's who and what businesses give to what sports. But it's really, there's no line in the sand for who gives to what. Everybody just shares and everybody's supportive, and it's really nice to see, and it takes a lot off my plate.
Yeah.
So that's been really good.
That's awesome. What's been the biggest surprise, whether good or bad, in the first couple of months, whether it's just, reshaping how things are run, or just you came in and, didn't expect this? What's kind of been that biggest surprise so far?
I think the biggest surprise is that I never really had like the new guy syndrome. Everybody was open arms. Everybody was, hey, please ask me if you need something. And a lot of times you get that, hey, if you need anything, let me know. And then when you ask, they're like, that's not me.
Yeah.
But here it's been, let me know if you need anything. And then I would reach out and ask, and I get way more response than I ever anticipated. So it's just been, I think that's the most surprising, to answer your question, is just the amount of support that people are willing to give, and there's no strings attached. It's, I want to give this to Tipton Community Schools or Tipton Athletics, and I don't need to be recognized for it. I don't want my name plastered. I just want to be a helping hand, and that's been extremely surprising and very grateful.
Yeah. Yeah, so every school typically has their own traditions, how things are done, or interesting things that they do throughout the season. Have you discovered anything that's different, or that Tipton does specifically different in terms of traditions or unique things?
Yeah. So I'm learning as we go. The football team has their own things, or whether it be, I think they call it corn night. And they have, sweet corn and watermelon, with the cheerleaders bringing watermelon, and the football team has sweet corn. And so they've got that tradition, every Thursday night. They have their team meals, which is awesome. The Gym Dandy helps out with that. And then, Friday after the home games, we open up the cafeteria. The boys come in. Like, that was new to me. Homecoming, and there's a dance. Just everything is just the way that it was in the day. It still is. And that's been really cool to see as well.
Yeah.
And then you have, basketball's getting ready to start. So you have Fan Jam, and, we're going to kind of try to rebrand that and get it pumped up again. But it's nice in the sense that they have some awesome traditions, some awesome things going on. And we also have the ability to make it our own.
Yeah.
And people are just receptive, and they're respectful, and it's an exciting time to be at Tipton Athletics. So
nice. So every new AD has their own different perspective and different things that they do. What's your overall vision for Tipton Athletics moving forward? No, it's still fairly new for you, but long-term goals. What are you looking at there?
Yeah. So long-term goals, definitely to be successful. I think the end goal for any and every AD is to win a state championship, whether that's in golf, tennis, basketball, football. It doesn't matter. We want to be successful across the board. But my vision for Tipton Athletics is to, one, always be competitive. Never have that losing season. And if we do, how do we fix it? How do we move forward? Being a Purdue graduate, one of their mottos was always one brick higher. John Purdue had it in his, I don't know if it was a will is the right answer, but where there's construction never stops. We're always improving. We're always going one brick higher. And I think I would like to have that at Tipton, where whether that's success on or off the field, on or off the court, in the classroom, in the community, I want our kids to just be successful, whatever that means.
Yeah. How do you balance supporting, every sport equally? Because it is a challenge, right? Football is traditionally the biggest at most schools, but you have to show the equal amounts of love to all the other sports, male and female. And how does that work from an AD standpoint of making sure that enough time and equal amount of time goes into each sport?
Yeah. To give you a bad answer, I don't know how to favor one team or the other.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to sit there and give football $100,000 while the golf team is scraping pennies together.
Yeah.
My philosophy has always been to get the teams what they need to compete, and then the wants we'll deal with later.
Mm-hmm.
So whether that's, I know I keep using golf, but like you said, fall season. So golf needs golf balls, tennis needs tennis balls, football needs footballs, soccer needs soccer balls. And so those are the things that we need to compete. The wants where, hey, we want new soccer goals, or hey, we want golf bags. Those are wants. We don't actually need those things because we have them. We'll deal with that next. But for right now, let's get what we need done and then focus on the wants after that.
Mm-hmm. So revolving around the coaches, because coaches play a big part, obviously, in the whole landscape of it. How do you manage those relationships? And one specifically as Tommy, who came in as the new basketball coach at the same time that you're coming in as the new AD. How do you manage those relationships on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, so Tommy and I coming in, relatively the same time. He was hired before me, but we've kind of bonded over the fact of, hey, we're the new guys.
Yeah.
And then we got Coach Bales for girls basketball. Technically, he is a new coach as well. However, he's been on staff, so he's not technically the new guy. But our coaches and the communication through whether it's email, text, phone, we have coaches meetings. Everybody's just been really receptive. Everybody's on board. I never want to be a dictator, so I really appreciate their feedback. Sometimes, it's one of those things where coaches are, hey, I don't really care. Just do what we got to do and let's go.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's great. And sometimes it's like, well, I do need a little bit of direction because I don't want to be the guy making all the choices.
Mm-hmm.
But the coaches so far have just been phenomenal. Like you brought up Tommy, he's getting the youth program started. He's doing some agility stuff. He's doing the weight training program during the day. He's just rocking it out on all cylinders.
Yeah.
And then, you've got Coach Toll, who's in PE as well. And he's getting his kids moving. He's pushing those kids to weightlifting. He's making sure that they're in agility. And, we got Missy Henry, who's probably our other tenured coach here at Tipton. And she's with those girls. It's phenomenal to see. So everybody's been great. There's been zero issues. And our coaches are just, they're the backbone. They're why I have a job. So,
yeah. Absolutely.
My job essentially is whatever they need.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to make sure they're happy too.
Yeah. And on the flip side, you obviously interact with the student athletes a lot. How has that been in building those relationships? And, it's not the same as a coach because you're not there giving them directions and, being the mean coach who yells at them. But how do you build those relationships? And is it important to have those with the student athletes as well, even though you are a step removed from them?
Yeah, that's a great point. At Peru, it came natural, it came easy. All of those kids at Peru, I either went to school with their siblings, or I know their parents, or I've just been around to where I know who they are or who they're related to. So it was super, super easy to make those connections. Now, I'm relearning who people are, putting names with faces. I made the joke early in the year where I wasn't learning names, but I knew numbers. So I'd see a kid walking down the hallway, and I'm like, oh, 16, I know you.
Yeah.
But now I'm starting to learn the names, starting to learn the faces, starting to learn the parents, which helps a lot.
Yeah.
And just building those relationships, like you said, is very essential in my opinion. I know that there are some ADs where the philosophy is, I'm going to treat it where I'm in charge of coaches, I'm in charge of scheduling, I'm in charge of officials. Athletes are the coach's responsibility. And I'll step in when there's a disciplinary issue or an exemplary issue. But as far as that, they are going to stay removed. And I can see the benefit, and I can see the downside of that as well. But for me, I'm a very personable person. I don't think there's a better way to say that. But I do enjoy getting to know the kids. Just in the office, especially our school board president, Rob Cochran, his daughter helps out with some of the graphics and stuff. So I got to know her pretty well. Brogan Ferg is the soccer goalie congratulations, boys. They'll play in the sectional championship on Saturday at 2 p.m. here at Tipton. And he's also a kicker on the football team. So I'm getting kind of, in for both ways there. And then, you get to make one, and then he's like, oh, hey, this is Mr. Quinn. So I talk to his friends, and then, that's how it goes. But it's been really good. And I do enjoy getting to know the kids, all the personalities, and it's been good.
Yeah, that's awesome. So Tipton's a small town. You came from Peru, which you said is a small town too. What do you think makes small town sports so special? Where it does seem like on Friday nights or Saturday nights during basketball season or whatever it may be, is like, it sometimes feels like the entire town is there. What makes it so special?
Yeah. Yes, I completely agree. What makes it special, this is not to be rude, but what else are you going to do?
Yeah.
It's the livelihood. It's no longer just an athletic event. It's a social aspect. Hey, let's go get dinner, then let's go watch the boys play, or hey, let's go get dinner, let's go watch the girls play.
Mm-hmm.
It's what you do. It's who you are. It's how you get to talk. I mean, everybody's so connected with their devices nowadays. It's nice to still have something where you can put that down, enact face-to-face with those people in the community and keep those relationships alive, rather than just being a Facebook warrior or calling and texting. It's nice to be in the moment again, and I think that's what athletics brings to a small town.
Yeah, and we've talked about obviously how much the community supported you and the athletics program, especially this year, you being new. But are there things that, from an AD standpoint, that if there is a parent who's looking to get involved or wants to support, but, doesn't know how, isn't as well connected, whatever it may be, how can a parent or even somebody who doesn't have a kid, but just loves going out to watch the games on throughout the week, how can they support you and what your vision here is for Tipton Athletics?
Yeah, well, we're always looking for workers. So whether that's a ticket taker, an announcer, a scoreboard worker, now especially with football sectionals coming up or basketball, it's always really nice to have those people that will, one, greet the team and show them where their locker room is, answer questions, where bathrooms are, so on and so forth. And then on the other side of that too, it's nice to have that for the officials. When the officials get there, hey, greet them, make sure they know where their locker room is, get them set up with, the bottle of water, a candy bar, something to get started. Small things go a long way.
Yeah.
And just removing that doubt of where am I going, what am I looking for, and just having somebody there that says, hey, this is where we are, this is who I am. If you have any questions, let me know. And so for those parents that want to get involved, have a phone call to the school. I answer my phone. My desk phone gets routed to my cell phone, so I'll never miss a call. And if I do, I'll call you back.
Yeah.
Or an email. Just say, hey, I'd love to be involved. I don't get off work until 5, so if there's anything after that, then, we'd love to have you. But, we're always looking for people. And then on the flip side of that, if you are coming to the game anyway, you'll save yourself a couple of dollars and you can get paid. So
yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's like,
in.
So I grew up, born and raised in Noblesville, and I actually run the clock and game clock for Noblesville football on Friday nights. Okay. And I know there's like the AD there sends out a list of all the event workers, and it's like, there's a way more than you think that it takes from tickets to letting teams in the locker room to letting the officials in their own space. Like it takes a village to run some of these sporting events. But I know a couple of people who are, they're older, but they've been doing it for 30 plus years. And they're like, yeah, well, we just work for an hour and then we get to watch the games for free. So it's like, yeah, it's a benefit there.
Absolutely.
What are you most excited about for this year being your first year? Is it just learning the ropes and trying to not change things up too much, or is there, something that you're really looking forward to?
Yeah. So I've told a lot of our coaches and admin staff that there's things that people have approached me and said, hey, we want this, we want to see this go differently, we want to see this, and I 1,000% respect that. But being the new guy, I want to give it a year. I want to see how it goes. I want to see what they see, and then, okay, now let's come up with a plan on how to fix that. There are a couple of things that we've already undertaken. One of the big things to answer your question, we've started a student athletic advisory council. So we're going to go ahead and call that Devil's Advocate. The kids have decided on that name, so nice. We really like that.
Yeah.
And I've leaned on them a lot to say, hey, what do we like? What do we don't like? And let's fix it. And I'm not fixing it. We are fixing it, because I'm not going to wear a Letterman jacket, you are, or I'm not going to receive an award, but you are. So I'm leaning on those leaders of those kids to say, hey, this is what we've seen, this is what we like, this is what we don't like, and let's fix it. Yeah. So we've gotten some things brought to our attention, and we're working on some things there, but I'm really excited to do that. And that's one of the things that I've enjoyed at Tipton so far, is just the amount of support that I have. It's allowed me time in my day to meet with those kids and have those conversations, and it's really enjoyable for me.
Yeah, you're not just running around with your head cut off like a chicken.
Yeah.
So that's the near term this year. We're looking fast forward a few years. What do you hope people say about Tipton Athletics under your leadership?
Yeah, Tipton Athletics as a whole, underneath my leadership, this is what I would hope people say. Mm-hmm. When they see us on the schedule, they know it's a tough game, whether that's football, basketball, tennis, golf, what have you, cross country, track, all of it, swimming. When they see Tipton is coming, or they're going to Tipton, they're like, that's a tough one. It's not a for sure win. It's not, a for sure loss, but they know they're going to battle. And that's what I want for our kids. That's the reputation that I want for us, is that when we show up, they know, like, we have to play our A game to win. Yeah. And that's what I want for our kids.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's kind of shift back to you, do some quick hits about you personally so people can get to know you more.
All right.
You mentioned you played soccer.
Yep.
Is that your favorite sport to watch?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
It's one of those things where when you're watching it, now I'll say that with a grain of salt. I enjoy watching our team.
Yeah.
Or I enjoy watching the kids that I've coached in the past play. Mm-hmm. If it's just on TV, I'm not watching it.
Yeah.
I really enjoy college basketball. That's my favorite thing to watch.
Nice.
There's no NBA. It's just different.
Yeah,
and those kids are pouring their heart and soul into it every time, There's a reason March Madness is the way it is.
Yeah.
College basketball is awesome.
Yeah. Purdue your team, I'm assuming?
No, I'm a Michigan guy.
Okay.
So I'm University of Michigan. Yeah. If they was underwater basket weaving, I would watch it.
Yeah.
And I would cheer for them, and I would be all about it.
Yeah.
I am University of Michigan through and through, and then Purdue steps into there. So,
that's fair.
Yeah.
You mentioned you played soccer. Is that your favorite sport to play? Did you play other sports in high school?
Yeah. So playing soccer is my absolute favorite. I did play after high school as well. We actually scrimmaged with the boys leading up to sectional week to make sure they were ready, and had a good time, and just get to know those kids that way. That was fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, in high school, I also wrestled for Coach Hobbs, who's Tipton grad. Played baseball a couple of years. The Peru amateur circus is what Peru's known for. So spring was always a little bit difficult. So I only did baseball for a couple of years, and then got really into circus. So that became kind of my third sport, if you will.
Yeah. So talking about a quick pivot, talking about playing multiple sports, what's your take on that for high school athletics? Because it's been a big debate, I would say, within the last 10 years of, should kids specialize in one sport versus playing 2 or 3 sports throughout the year? What's your take on that? Going through it, obviously you played multiple sports, like you just said, but then only played one in college. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I think that getting involved in at the most you can is the most beneficial. You're not getting worn out on doing the same thing over and over. The repetitive motion of throwing a baseball or swinging a golf club, so on and so forth. Those muscles start to deteriorate at a certain point where when you are cycling through, you're using different muscles and you're using different movements where your body has time to rest and recover and strengthen as well. So I think at an early age, especially those middle school, 4, 5, 6, play as many sports as you can. There's no commitment where, like in high school, it is difficult to play 2 sports during the same season.
Yeah.
I get that. But even in junior high, your basketball season and your wrestling season are separated on a good amount where they only overlap for maybe a week or two where you can play basketball and then once basketball season's over, go wrestle or swim or whatever have you. So I so encourage those kids to do more than one thing. Now when you get to high school, like I said, it gets more difficult.
Yeah.
But then, you kind of find your niche once you're in high school. You focus on what you want to focus on. Now, I'm still think that you should do something every season if you can.
Yeah.
And then once, you excel at something, put your heart and soul into it. And then if you want to play at the next level, do that. But don't cut yourself off because, okay, I really like soccer, so I'm no longer going to wrestle or I'm no longer going to play basketball and I'm going to quit baseball because I love doing this fall sport. Don't do that.
Yeah.
But you can still do those trainings and do those things on the side while you are participating as you move through the seasons.
And if I had to guess, Tipton, most athletes are probably multi-sport athletes, correct? Because there's just not that big of a pool of students to be athletes to fill the
We don't
teams.
have a choice.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. So you mentioned the Shack when you've come down here previously. What's your favorite local spot that you've discovered since moving here?
Yeah, I'll be completely honest. I really like Hortons. Just across the street here. If I could bottle up the scent that when you walk in, you smell. If I could put that like throughout my house, throughout my office, that would be awesome. Whether it's the candied pecan smell or just those small time shops that have that just smell when you walk in. It's been a favorite. I walk through there every once in a while when I need to get out of the office and just take in the sights and the smells, and then I go back. So it's been really cool.
Nice. Well, we did just have Holly on a couple of weeks ago,
nice.
So maybe we'll need to pitch that idea to her to somehow bottle that up and put it into a candle or something.
Yeah.
Like
I'll be the number one supporter.
The Horton scent and sell that. We'll wrap it up with a fun one. Who's winning a one-on-one basketball game between you and the other quote-unquote new guy, Tommy?
So we've started playing in the mornings. We're trying to get just be active.
Yeah.
So we've got a couple other administrators that come in and we all play. Try to get 10 guys and go 5-on-5 and just have a good time.
Yeah.
If we're gonna play pig, Tommy's winning all day. If we're gonna have a speed contest, I might have him on that.
Yeah.
But one-on-one, I'll give it to Tommy.
That's fair. He is the basketball coach.
He's a basketball.
I'm sure
coach.
throw him out on the soccer field and you.
Yeah, well, he's a good soccer player too.
Oh,
so
really?
When we were playing with the boys, he actually played as well in high school.
Okay.
I'll have to don't quote me on this. I think he either won a state championship or was runner up while he was at Harrison. So he's a very soccer knowledgeable guy. But put him on the wrestling mat, and I'll get him on that one. So.
All right, fair enough. Well, Colin, thank you so much for coming on. I know a lot of people have heard a lot about you, but I wanted to just get to know you more and your vision for Tipton Athletics. And I'm sure over the next few years, we'll probably have you on again to just talk Tipton Athletics because what else is there to do, right?
That's right.
No, I mean, athletics is such a big part of Tipton's community. So having you on to talk about it, and I know people will really enjoy listening to you. So thank you so much.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. And if anybody else wants to get involved, like I said, come on down and we'd love to have you. So go Blue Devils and thank you.